Hot Wheels. We all know Hot Wheels. I mean, if you don't, then like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? What is your life? Started in 1968, making it almost 50 years old now. Holy shit! Hot Wheels is a model car company that makes miniature models of both real-life cars, like longtime contemporary Matchbox, and original designs. Over the years, it's become a poster child for the extreme flames, explosions, cool bro style of marketing that's almost exclusively targeted at little boys, but it's also become very popular among collectors, and in my case, it defined a large part of my childhood and my earlier exposure to video games. Some of the earliest video game memories I have are a whole bunch of Hot Wheels games on the PC, like Stunt Track Driver and Micro Racers and shit like that, and Turbo Racing on the PS1. God, I love those shitty games. And don't worry, I'll probably get to most if not all of those games eventually, but for now, let's get back to the task at hand. In addition to just their model cars, Hot Wheels went on to making TV shows, movies, and a lot of PC and console video games. In 2003, to coincide with the 35th anniversary of Hot Wheels, Cartoon Network aired a full-length animated film called Hot Wheels World Race. And naturally, in addition to creating limited editions of certain cars with special liveries to coincide with the movie, a few of which I actually collected, they made a video game tie-in for the PS2 and the GameCube. So, let me get this straight for a second. This is a game that is a tie-in to a movie. But not just a movie, a made-for-kids television movie at that. That is itself a licensed tie-in to a toy car line from the 1960s. There's a lot of layers on this cake and a lot of ways that this can go wrong. So I remember this movie being advertised a while back, but I never watched it, so that's a project for another day. But I did play the shit out of this game back in the day. Not nearly as much as Velocity X, which came out a few years before, but I'm curious as to how World Race holds up.
Greetings. Because of your extraordinary abilities, you have been chosen to take part in the world race.
Really? Gordon Freeman has chosen me to take part in the race? Gordon, you alright, man? You're looking shockingly low res, man. Why have you been turned into Dr. Breen? You're not supposed to be the guy on the screen, man. Get down from there. You're supposed to be helping us.
The cars are equipped with special Nitrox 2 boosters.
Nitrox? What the fuck is Nitrox?
The track exists in a different dimension from our own. A dimension you won't see until the race begins.
Okay, first of all, that's a terrible way to prepare for a race. Second of all, if this game takes place in a different dimension, why the fuck is it called Hot Wheels World Race? Okay, never mind. I'm nitpicking, I'm getting mad already. Let's just get on with it. Alright, what else you got for me, game?
Hey, so you wanna play?
What? Is that fucking Smash Mouth? I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, the song is full of car puns, so you know it was made for this, or probably more for the movie, but like, what? Of all the bands to hear in a game, and all of the games for that band to appear in, Smash Mouth and Hot Wheels Dimensional Race is not the one that I would have expected, but the more I think about it, the more it seems like a match made in heaven. I really wish I could play this full song for you guys right now, but unfortunately, partially due to my immense fear of copyright strikes, and also because I'm afraid that Steve Harwell would come and kill me in my sleep if I made fun of Smash Mouth, judging by his Twitter activity at least, we're just going to move on to the game. So, I'll link the intro in the description if you guys really want to check that out. Okay, so we've got a few different modes to choose from here, along with a groovy techno elevator music backing track. Challenge mode is basically tutorial mode, so I won't bother explaining that. Multiplayer was grayed out for me, probably because I've only got one controller and no friends. So that leaves us with the single player modes: Quick Race, Time Attack, and League. League is like the championship mode. It is basically the only thing that gives you any sense of progression in this game. Unlocking tracks, cars, etc. is most easily accomplished by just playing through the leagues. That's basically the only ultimate goal you'll have in this game, is unlocking cars and tracks. Tracks are unlocked by playing through leagues. Each league has a couple new tracks to race on. And cars are unlocked by placing third or better in a race while also collecting at least 50 of the 100 orange pickups laid out on each track. You unlock another car for collecting all 100 on each track, so there is a challenge to complete there. These Nitrox squared pickups on the tracks serve two purposes: the aforementioned car unlocking and filling up your boost meter, which weirdly can only be activated when it's full. It's a very strange boosting mechanic. The only one that I've seen that was similar was in the early Burnout games, but even that feels way different than this. The other way you can fill up your boost meter is by performing stunts mid-air by using the control stick. You've also got this meter at the top, which, when you're in the air, highlights face buttons for you to press. If you land 3 different button combinations, your car catches on fire and you go faster. Somehow, I think this would be more of a hindrance than a help, but hey, this is Hot Wheels we're talking about. Hot Wheels takes things to the extreme! I think what this actually does is max all of your car's stats for a minute or two. You know, top speed, acceleration, grip, and so on. So it's like a mechanic that rewards you and powers you up through executing stunts. You also have to vary your stunts in order to avoid them becoming stale, meaning you earn less boost when you land. The jumps can a lot of the time lead to shortcuts and alternate routes, many of which can only be accessed by boosting off of ramps. So that creates an interesting dynamic that you see in other arcade racers, where you have to sort of think ahead to the next jump, the next lap, in order to find the quickest route to the finish and gather all the pickups to unlock cars. You know, I gotta say, between that, the stat boost that you get from landing enough jumps, and also the way you unlock cars in this game, there's some pretty interesting mechanics at play. So at the very least, this game definitely shows promise for separating itself from the pack. Unfortunately though, that promise wears out when factoring in the rest of the game. Those features I mentioned earlier are cool on their own, but the game around them is fundamentally lacking. Besides those few unique mechanics, the game is just very bland. The tracks are not really particularly memorable, and unless you grew up liking Hot Wheels and you know the original cars and their names well enough to care, then the wide selection of cars won't mean anything to you. The stats really don't make enough of a difference in terms of performance to actually matter, and none of the cars really sound distinct, which is a detail that I find very valuable in distinguishing a racing game. In fact, the sound design of this game in general is just a kind of a muddled mess. The engine notes, music, and environmental sounds all just sort of blend together into a white noise while you're racing. And the fact that none of the cars sound unique is a real shame because of how unique they are by nature of just being crazy Hot Wheels cars. League mode is also very unforgiving, only giving you a limited amount of restarts and requiring you to finish in certain positions in order to continue. The last league contains all 12 tracks in the game and only 1 restart throughout the whole thing. It's ridiculous. And it will outright kick you to the curb if you're not performing well enough. Yes, it is actually possible to game over in this game. I mean, at least let me finish the damn tournament so I don't have 6 hours footage of the same 4 tracks, guys. Come on! The controls for the game are, you know, they're okay. They're decently responsive, and it's pretty satisfying to maneuver past your opponents, pull off stunts, and make shortcuts, but it's far from perfect. There's not much nuance to the controls. You pretty much just pin the throttle and try not to crash. The only thing that I think is pretty much inexcusable in this game in terms of controls is that there's no reliable way to get around turns. Regular turning isn't always tight enough to get you around without crashing, and while there is a power slide function, it almost always ends with me in the ditch and dead last place. A more responsive and useful power slide mechanic would definitely round out this game's control scheme and make it way more satisfying to play. It's not all bad though. Like I said, the selection of cars is extensive, and it is a pretty cool concept that they sorted out all the cars into 5 teams. Wave Rippers, Dune Rats, Street Breed, Scorchers, and Road Beasts. And each car has its own driver with a goofy mid-2000s cool, edgy name. Kurt Wilde, Joseph Vert Wheeler, Skeet. Skeet. And I know I said before that the tracks aren't particularly memorable, I mean because they aren't, but they are visually interesting while you're driving on them, and there's enough variety in the layouts and shortcuts and so on to keep things relatively interesting. Another problem this game has though is just quite simply a lack of things to do. Once you beat all the leagues and unlock all the tracks, all that's left to do after that is just unlock all the cars by collecting every pickup in the game and collecting all the gallery items, I think by beating specific lap times. And I mean, I don't really care enough about the gallery items to do that. But once you unlock all the cars, there's nothing to do with your shiny new cars other than to just do everything you just did over again, but this time for no reward. There's no purpose in doing the challenges or time trials, no secrets to collect. There's just no replay value here, nothing to keep a player engaged. I'm sure kids would find a decent level of challenge here, but for anyone older than 13, there's really just not much here. I personally don't remember how engaged I was by this game, just that it was Hot Wheels, and I thought Hot Wheels was the shit back then. I do remember, however, getting really pissed at this game when I failed out of a league, and not playing the game for months after, buying it and selling it back a few times, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, really wanting to play it once in a while. So overall, there's really not that much else I can say about this game. I mean, it's far from the worst game I've ever played, but it's certainly not the best either. There's some really interesting mechanics at play here, but the rest of the game just doesn't capitalize on them enough for it to keep you interested. And there are some really, really crucial elements to the controls just missing. For $8 used online, this game was a hell of a nostalgia trip. Especially, and you know, probably only to someone like me who grew up playing with these cars and still knows all their names because he played with them so much. Now, if you guys will excuse me, I'm going to go dive even further into this rabbit hole that I've created for myself by playing this game and go play some more fucking Hot Wheels games. I hope you guys have a magnificent day. As always, I have been the Mighty Mander, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, my friends.